Buenos días, buenas tardes y buenas noches. Donde sea que estés en este momento, esto es El Momento. And I am your host, Eleanor Orrio. Today's episode is something that is taking the internet by storm. So take a deep breath because this is El Momento. Today, I'm going to be discussing the 10-year-olds at Sephora. This group, primarily made of Gen Alpha tweens, are not only causing havoc in shops, but are also using products that quite frankly aren't made for their skin. Now, I will say, before I begin this piece, this is strictly my opinion. I'm a 15-year-old teen girl who knows a thing or two about being insecure, but everyone is allowed to believe what they want about this latest craze. Okay, now that we have cleared that up, let's begin. When you look up 10-year-olds at Sephora on Google search, you're immediately going to find a plethora of videos of adults talking about the conditions of their local Sephoras after a group of preteens come in. Most of the time, these tweens are reaching for products such as Drunk Elephant. This has become so much of an issue that Sephoras everywhere now have to be on high alert. One employee reported that they have to return to the Drunk Elephant section about every 15 minutes just to clean it up. Now, you might be wondering, okay, Eleanor, but why are you raining on their parade? That is not my intention at all. But this is a part of the overall issue, which is that tweens and preteens these days are behaving and looking more like adults. I don't want to sound old or all-knowing, because I most definitely am not, but when I was 10, I was trying to make slime by mixing contact solution and clothing detergent. I was playing with toxic chemicals just like them, only I wasn't putting them on my skin. I am a part of the end of Gen Z, which spans all the way from 1997 to 2009. And although I grew up with some use of social media, Gen Alpha has practically grown up with a smartphone in their hands. Now, preteens have more access to sensitive content that they wouldn't have seen otherwise. I will note that I have also grown up using social media. I watched a lot of YouTube as a preteen and I downloaded TikTok once I turned 12. However, I wound up deleting it during the pandemic after realizing how much of an effect it had on my mental state. Not only are apps such as TikTok causing Gen Alpha to have shorter attention spans and more difficulty with social skills, but it is exposing them to subjects that they can't comprehend just yet. An article in Teen Vogue talks about what an actual kid thinks of the 10-year-olds at Sephora craze. In her commentary, she states, "It's annoying to hear adults talk about how when they were 10, they only cared about Barbies and unicorns. I'm just saying, we're a new generation and more people have shown us all this stuff, which is exactly my point. These children are being exposed to influencers marketing products that were made for adults, and a younger demographic is consuming this. Prime example of this behavior is Get Ready With Me videos. In these clips, many influencers showcase their extensive and expensive skincare routines. Preteens are watching these videos and asking for these products, which are not made for their skin. Most of the time, people are using these products to make their skin look more like a 10-year-old's. These influencers are becoming the quote-unquote role models of these preteens, and they are now going to extreme lengths to emulate them. While making this piece, I was trying to think about influencers I followed growing up. As I mentioned before, I did make a lot of slime. And looking back, that was because I wanted to be like YouTuber Mariah Elizabeth. But other than her, I can't really think of many other influencers I followed. I didn't get on TikTok till I was about 12 and was only on it for a year before I stopped using it altogether. During that time, I remember teens like Charlie D'Amelio and Addison Rae were really popular. But as much as I wanted to, I never had the tools to make myself look like them. Gen Alpha does, and is using this to extreme lengths. Dermatologists are saying that at that age, the only thing kids really need is a good cleanser, sunscreen, and a moisturizer. Personally, I think kids shouldn't start playing around with makeup until about 14. And when I say makeup, I mean real makeup, not the plastic makeup kits you can buy from Target in the toy section. Something about the idea of an 11-year-old using concealer and mascara makes me sad. It goes to show that kids are no longer kids and are growing up, but not mentally, only physically. Gracias a todos por escuchar this week's episode. Now, as I mentioned last week, we do have a special opportunity for our listeners. If you would like to nominate someone or nominate yourself to be featured on El Momento, fill out the form in the description of this episode. Once again, thank you all for listening. Tune in next Wednesday for our next episode. I am your host, Eleanor Rio, and this has been El Momento.